Over the next few minutes, I'm going to talk about the tragic deaths of children that die in hot vehicles. In particular, I'm going to be adding some statistics that relate to Florida. My name is Jan Null. I'm a meteorologist at San Jose State University, and I've been studying these tragedies going back to 2001. Last year, in 2024, there were 39 pediatric vehicular heat stroke deaths across the country. This was a rise from the previous 4 years, which we had seen a drop, largely due to the change in patterns of parents and other caregivers in transporting their children to and from work, to and from childcare. Overall, going back to 1998, the average number of PVH deaths is 37 per year. Those deaths are broken down into three broad categories. The largest is children who are accidentally forgotten in a vehicle by a parent or other caregiver, accounts for just a little bit more than half the cases. And of those, 45% are where the child has not been dropped off at daycare. So looking at that, you combine those two numbers, almost a quarter of the cases, if a call was made by the daycare or preschool provider to the parent early enough in the day when their child does not show up, those children would have been saved. The next largest category is where children have gained access to a vehicle on their own, and this accounts for about almost a quarter of the cases. This is when a car is left unlocked and a child gets into the vehicle. The third category is where a child is knowingly left in a vehicle by a parent or other caregiver. These are all preventable. There is no good reason to leave a child inside a hot car, and with the tragic consequences to follow. If we look at the breakdown over the last 26 years of just the forgotten cases, those average almost 20 per year. We can see in the most recent 5 years we have been under that number. Though the trend line, and that's a small dotted line under the red mean line, has been almost flat for the entire period we are looking at. For the circumstances where a child has gained access on their own, we actually see those numbers going down. They average about 9 incidents per year, and we can see that especially in the last 4 years, we've seen quite a bit of drop off. And then in the knowingly left category, unfortunately, this group of cases has been going up. The mean is almost 8 per year, and we've seen into double digits in 6 of the last 8 years. If we break down these deaths by the day of the week, we can see toward the latter half of the week, the numbers are increasing. These are the cases going back from 1998 to 2024. And breaking those down by circumstances category, we can see that we have again that spike that we saw in the previous slide toward the end of the week. The hypothesis here is that people are more tired, more distracted toward the end of the week, and are more likely to forget a child in a vehicle. Gained access, as you might imagine, peaks over the weekends when children are at home and vehicles are accessible to them. And there's no real trend that I see here over knowingly left. Unfortunately, these can happen and have happened any day of the week. The average age of PVH deaths is just over 2 years, and we will see that more than half the cases are where children are under age of 2, and with the older ages, those would be mostly in the gained access category. Due to the amount of time that mothers spend more time with children than fathers, probably see a fairly even, this would probably be a fairly even breakdown if they spent equal time as far as the responsible person resulting in PVH deaths. About half the cases happen in the home driveway or in the street outside the person's residence, where they have gone out with the child in the vehicle and they come back, they go into the house and unfortunately leave a child in the car. The cases where children have died at the workplace, that's where a child has not been dropped off, oftentimes at child care, while the parent or caregiver goes on to work and the child is left out in the car in the workplace. You see here that more than half the cases happen on days when it's 90 degrees or greater. However, a good percentage are cooler days, even some days down that were less than 70 degrees. So it doesn't have to be a hot day for one of these incidents to happen. Looking across the country, we can see that there are the southern tier of states have the highest numbers here, with Texas and unfortunately Florida leading with numbers in the triple digits, and then fewer cases as you go farther north. Alaska and New Hampshire are now the only states who have not had a hot car child death. Probably a better way to look at this is by the per capita, looking at for every 1 million children under the age of 14, how many deaths there were. And again, we can see across the southern tier of states the increase in numbers. And Florida here ranks as the 45th worst case. Those a bit behind Louisiana, which is the worst at 43 deaths per year. The national average being almost 17. There are 21 states that have unintended child laws. Unfortunately, some of these states have a amount of time where a child, it's okay, according to the law, to leave a child inside a car. Florida has the least restrictive law with a 15-minute time frame. Unfortunately, with as fast as cars heat up, that could be a deadly amount of time. Here's a geographic breakdown across Florida of the deaths going back to 1998, and as would be expected, the numbers are are greatest in the larger urban areas, the Tampa St. Petersburg area, the Miami area, and then also in the mid-state area, or Orlando and the Lakes area to the north of it. If we look at the circumstances of hot car child deaths in Florida, the vast majority of those are children are forgotten in cars, and that is the upper trend line that you see here. Those numbers are increasing here in Florida. While if we look at the trend lines for the gained access and knowingly left in vehicles, we can see that those are have been decreasing slightly, though that may be somewhat deceptive given the relatively small sample sizes in both of those types of circumstances. Probably the most important slide today is to keep in mind that this can happen to anyone, even the best parents, the worst parents, people from every socioeconomic area. You can see by the list here, it's tragedies that doesn't really know any bounds, and that's why hopefully this sort of information is important, that you can help get the word out that these cases won't happen. So thank you for your time. I can be reached at either by San Jose State address or through noheatstroke.org. That's jnull@noheatstroke.org. And on that website, you can find all this information and lots more about how hot cars get, the other data and circumstances that hopefully will give you tools to be able to help prevent these in the future.